Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered what lies beyond those twinkling lights? Are you curious about the countless mysteries that surround the vast universe we call home? Are you ready to explore UFO sightings that defy explanation? Numerous individuals are convinced that there exists compelling evidence supporting the existence of aliens. Come along with us on a journey as we delve into the captivating inquiries and astonishing prospects surrounding UFOs and extraterrestrials through a blend of modern and ancient tales. Welcome to Two Dudes, Much Aliens.
Welcome back, everyone, to Two Dudes, Much Aliens. I got my brother in arms, Mateo, on the other side.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back. You're still with us. I love it.
Yeah, we're going to dive into some interesting shit today. I think it's a story that everybody is familiar with, at least a theory that everybody's familiar with. You've heard it at some point in your life. It's come across your desk, so to speak. And that's reptilians. I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to talk about large reptoids possibly running the earth and where they're hanging out?
Yeah. They're among us, everyone. I know it.
I feel it. I feel the scales. I mean, just due to sometimes I'm like, dude, my psoriasis, I am part reptilian, maybe just because of it could be. Maybe when you get out, you know how when you've been in the water for too long and you get all wrinkly. Is that your reptilian blood like kicking in? The old DNA so you can grab stuff, you know?
Oh yeah.
All kinds of weird theories, right? I mean,
I love it.
When was the first time you had heard of reptilians and them possibly being a thing?
Oh man, the first time I've heard about shape-shifting reptilians was on this guy had a radio show named Ghost. Maybe he still has it. But he's like this conspiracy theory, like pre-Alex Jones, like crazy guy. You know, there was
before
kind of
the
like
gay
famous,
frogs.
Yeah, before the gay frogs. He was famous like on 4chan. And then he would call people shape-shifting reptilians. And I didn't know what that was. And that was probably like, I don't know, like 8 years ago, 7 years ago. And I just did some more, I guess not really research into it, but I just started hearing it more and more and more. And then I really just thought it was a crazy, stupid, conspiracy theory, right? And I love conspiracy theories, but that seems really far out there. Like, what the hell? There's people that are actually reptiles, and then in the last couple of years it's kind of like there's more and more, I don't want to call it evidence, but it's starting to make more sense to me that they are it is possibility that such a thing exists. I've heard some counter arguments as to why they don't exist, and I've heard some compelling arguments as to why they do exist. So yeah, that's really my first kind of like the arc of my knowledge of what the reptilians are.
That's it's kind of crazy, because I think back when I first met you and we started talking our whole alien stuff, at work, and I started diving in deep and just kind of getting lost in the internet, right? Like all the different theories and whatnot. And I came across David Icke, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I heard him talking about reptilians, and then how there's this royal blood, and how, everybody's always said that there's this kind of, and to me it's kind of the same, right? Like you have this royal blood that are possibly reptilians, your Queen Elizabeth, your Bushes, all this lineage backwards, but it's the same lineage that ties into like the Illuminati, right? Mm-hmm. Like they say that this royal family, these bloodlines, everybody's related. Obama's a reptilian because he's related to Bush, just like a third cousin or something. Yeah. And it was crazy, because it just started going out, and then you started seeing these videos of like, oh, this is proof that it's a reptilian, and their eyes are blinking sideways, or their face kind of shifts a little bit. Then you have the other side of that coin, right? Where people are like, oh, well, that's just a digital glitch and the blah, 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 blah. And it's like, is it? Yeah, is it possible?
Is it possible? So, yeah. 100%.
I thought it was interesting that, so I got really into David Icke, was trying to find his book, or I think I found it. But I'm not a huge reader. I like doing audiobooks because my ADD doesn't allow me to focus on just word after word boringness. So I'm trying to I'm looking at for the biggest secret, because I think that was his book in '99, that kind of where he comes out and talks about shape-shifting reptilian humanoids from the constellation Draco. And to me, it was always cool because Draco is that the constellation that is referred to like the dragon, right?
The dragon.
So
Yeah.
it makes sense, right? Dragons are probably considered are considered reptilians. So why not? Let's go with it. And how they've been controlling humanity for centuries, and from centuries. And you know, it's interesting to me because there's no proof that it's not happening. You know what I mean? Like there's some evidence that is like, oh well, you know, that this isn't, you know, there's no way eyes can blink that way. Well, show just because everybody is always blinking that way, you know, normal up top to bottom, how do we know there's not somebody out there that's blinking left or right?
Yeah.
Like maybe
Yeah.
haven't come across it.
Yeah, the first time I ever saw a video of like a supposed reptilian was Hillary Hillary Clinton, and her like her hand turned into a claw, right? They got like really pointy and her eyes turned green, and like it was really weird. I'm like, oh, is that it? Almost looks real. Like that was like 10 years ago, and I'm like, wow, is this real? You know, so
Yeah, that's kind of before the deep fake stuff, right? Like
it was before all that. Yeah.
I mean, I think CGI was starting there, but I don't think it was at the hands of everybody, especially just, and maybe I'm wrong, you know, putting it out on YouTube 10, 15 years ago, these images of stuff happening. I'm more likely to believe that it's either true,
Yep,
or it's a digital glitch, right? Like it's
Yep.
not, I don't think it's CGI in that time.
exactly.
There is a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of people that believe in reptilians, and that them even having like this underground cavern, like the underground tunnels in like California that just go forever.
Mount
That
Shasta.
right, that we haven't like
Yeah.
found or got into, and people are like, well, why haven't we found, you know, if we know that these tunnels exist, why haven't we sent explorers down there and like really go through it? Or maybe we have and we don't
Maybe
talk
we
about
have.
it.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
this
they
is
all
where the
died.
Majestic 12 comes in and they're like, no, you did not go down these tunnels. You did
Mhm.
not see anything. Look
Yeah.
into this light. Flash, flash.
I heard a really cool theory that the reptiles, there's different kinds of reptilians, right? There's
Sure.
it's like a broad generalization or term that encompasses kind of like the different the reptilians that come from different star systems, right?
Sure.
And there's the ones called the Dracos, right? The ones that the bad ones, those are like the universally hated ones because those are the ones are they're more militaristic, and they're the ones that are going around the galaxy like trying to conquer other planets and stuff like that. And there's the ones that look like pterodactyls, and there's one that have like slender bodies, and then there's ones that there's like a whole bunch of them, right? And the theory I heard is that the cataclysm 65 million years ago that killed off the dinosaurs, right? The meteor hit, whatever, was actually a planned event because at that time the Dracos actually had infested planet Earth, and so the powers that be, whoever that is, actually try to blow up planet Earth, right? And so they initiated this cataclysm to get rid of all the Dracos and all the dinosaurs and stuff like that, and they put the moon there, right? So it created a seasonal environment so reptiles and reptilians couldn't thrive on this planet, and it was more suited for mammals.
Interesting.
Super crazy.
That is crazy. I thought it was interesting that, you know, Dracos were the bad ones, right? Dracos were the bad ones. And then you look at Harry Potter and there's Draco Malfoy. That was the kind of the
bad guy.
The bad guy. That's an interesting tie. I don't know if it ties into, I've also, and this is maybe a separate topic, but you know, reptilians being so different than like the Greys, or what is the other one, the insectoids or whatever, the ones that are kind of
ant people. Yeah.
The ant people, like, is that just are these all, it has to come from somewhere. Otherwise it's just some wild imagination from stories. I mean, there's also, you know, from science fiction and pop culture, There's the idea of the reptilian humanoids appeared in science fiction literature movies for decades, often as a fictional trope. The fictional portrayals might have contributed to the development of these. So is it possible that these just started from movies and people want it to be so true, so bad that now they're
Yeah.
visualizing? I mean, what's the latest one, right? The lady on the plane.
Mhm.
Everybody's seen that video on TikTok. That motherfucker's not
I'm
human.
telling you right now.
Exactly. And then I
Yeah.
believe there was even a clip, right, where it showed the dude in the green hoodie and supposedly his eyes blinked sideways.
Mhm.
And so I
Mhm.
was like,
No, I've been trying to find that. Yeah.
but now it's gone.
Yeah,
Now
it's
it's gone.
gone.
Just like, and I was just talking to you about this, like all the videos that I used to watch back in 2015, 2014, when I got into this and was starting to find them, it seems like a lot of them are gone. They're not on YouTube.
It's surprisingly hard to find stuff on YouTube now because it's all ancient alien stuff now on YouTube. And yeah, there used to be way more content back in the day about reptilians and like definitions and just like, conspiracy theorists making crazy videos about it. And I was having kind of a hard time just finding content on YouTube. So weird.
Yeah, I think thanks to QAnon and whatnot, fact checkers, they probably went back and were like, nope, this isn't true. This
Yeah.
isn't true. I mean, look, there are a lot of conspiracy theories that are not true. I think there's a lot that are true.
Mhm.
I think that you leave them up there and you let people decide what they think. Let them follow it. Is this bullshit? Is this just some weird ass, science fiction movie of the is Godzilla and whatnot, or is it the real deal? Let you go through and look at the information and see what's going on. But yeah, I thought, yeah, so the Draco constellation, right?
Mhm.
That's where they hail, or so they
Yep.
say.
Mhm.
It's one of the most commonly mentioned sources for reptilian beings in the conspiracy theory, as it puts online. It's just a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
And it also said the proponents of the theory suggest that a race of reptilian humanoids hails from this constellation, has been controlling Earth and its inhabitants for centuries. But then there's the other people that say that they live within Earth itself, an underground or hollowed out space. I was kind of talking about those caverns and
Yeah.
catacombs in
The inner Earth.
California, the
Yeah.
inner Earth, that they are believed to emerge and interact with humans on the surface.
Mhm.
Possible? I don't know. If you've come in contact with a reptilian, please send your evidence or your information or your story to two dudes much aliens at gmail.com, or hit us up on our Facebook page, two dudes much aliens.
Yes,
Drop it
please.
there. Send us the information. We would love to take a look at it. I think that's, I mean, hey, if you did, that's cool. I've always been kind to reptilians. I used to own a snake. I think that it's possible. We
Yeah.
should definitely look into it.
Yeah, there's people that say that the reptilians, whichever version of them, are indigenous to Earth, right? Like before they predate humanity, or there's even some that say that they're actually our ancestors, right? That we have the reptilian part of the brain that they call, right, and the lizard brain, which is an interesting kind of connection that really bridges the gap between us and just lizards, right? And I was watching Cosmic Disclosure last night, and it was so interesting. Even I'm not sure if I believe the guys or their the credentials, but they're saying that there's a race of reptoids on Mars, and they're peace loving and they live inside of Mars and stuff like that. And like I just want to meet them. If they're nice, why not establish some sort of communication with them? But I know that the powers that be, probably don't want that for whatever reason. So.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the third form, right? Is there's people that say they come from the Draco constellation, they come from the inner Earth.
Yeah.
There's also the ones that say they come out from other planets or dimensions, something in a parallel universe or whatnot. There's minimal details on that, but one of the big ones that I think the Ancient Aliens touches on as well is that ancient civilizations, right? Like
Mhm.
that these reptilian beings were present on Earth in ancient times and played a role in the development of human civilizations and cultures.
Yep.
Everybody always refers back to the and I'll probably tear this up, the Ubaid figurines.
Mhm.
There's like the three little figurines that have like the reptilian face.
Yeah.
We've seen them. We've seen reptilian imagery in Egypt. We've seen it in the Mayan culture,
Yeah.
and
Indian
no one
culture as well.
in Indian culture as well.
Big.
Yes, absolutely. But we've not seen. Is anybody tell us or explain why they would have had that imagery? I mean, to me, it's odd, right? Like if mankind is new, right, and they're just still kind of going through, and maybe in the Egyptian days they didn't consider themselves new, right? Like we look back and see the Egyptians was kind of newer civilization as opposed to now.
Mm-hmm.
And they had those images, and so did like I said, the Mayans and the Sumerians. They had these images, and I would think that it comes back to that what people say as far as you draw what you see in a sense, right? Like they weren't carving in stone to create figures that they wished existed. I don't believe I because it took a lot of time. These were hand carvings. No one in our lazy ass time now is sitting around carving stuff that they're seeing. Yeah, there's whittlers and stuff out of wood, but this is stone. They're taking, how much time do you think it took to carve the stone that you're going to go, I'm thinking lizard face, breasts of a woman, hips, you know what I mean? Like, and to carve this out to give or to hold in your house, when religion was a pretty sacred thing back then. That like everybody believed in whatever gods they had at the time. So why a lizard one? There had to have been something that influenced a lizard. I mean, I have to believe that.
Yeah.
Because no one's told me otherwise why they would have this.
Yeah. They may have been seen as like gods or, demigods, if they existed back in the day. Right. So you're right about the Ubaid, the statuettes, there's the Naga in India, and, there's, the serpent gods in Mesoamerica, like the Mayans and the Aztec gods, right? So they're kind of in esteemed positions, whether they're good or bad within their relevant pantheons, which I find interesting. But if they're still here, right, in some way or another, another interesting theory I heard is that, how we just talked about earlier about how the reptilians infiltrated or started, or were the progenitors to kind of like the blue blood royal families around the world, right? That the reptilians instilled this agenda, that is preventing humanity from leveling up or evolving further as a race, right? So they put all these things in place, to prevent us from doing that. So their corporate structure, apparently that's draconian, right? And that's how their society is. It's kind of, they have a few like members of the board, and they have like, just how we see a company and a corporation.
They're the C-suite. They're the
C-suite. And that's how, like, at least the Draco corporate, the Draco Corp, that's how their whole culture is. That's how they function and how they control. And they instill that here, to prevent humanity, to make sure that humans for jobs just do mundane, stupid things, like sweeping trash or pushing a button. And it's not really letting us personally on a personal level evolve, and in ways that maybe might let us develop psychic abilities or ESP or things like that, right? I even heard this crazy thing that when music was being standardized in the West, at least, that we tune everything to 440 hertz as the standard. The C note is, we use a tuning fork, that C note, that frequency is used, although it sounds nice, is actually, because it's so predominant in Western culture, that it's actually being used as a form of control, that it's preventing that certain frequency is doing something to our brains that's not letting us evolve in a certain way. And I forget what the actual frequency is that people are purporting we should be listening to or base our society or music off of. But I thought it was pretty interesting that the reptilians have installed all these limiters in theory, right, or supposedly, that's preventing us from leveling up to like what they call like a level one, society or
Sure.
planet in the galaxy. And I also found this interesting too, the why all of a sudden, right? Why are millions of people listening to, say, one person or like one family, right? What makes that family so special and so different from the rest of the world or from the rest of them, that everyone's like, okay, yeah, we'll follow you, we need you, right? And this is the case all over the world, right? What makes them, is it just power, right? Or is it something else that makes humans believe other humans, or see them um as their gods, as their kings and queens? So I know, I mean, I wouldn't really bow down to someone, as a king or queen, unless they were really truly special, right? If there's a difference between having a manager and someone that literally like rules your life. So
Sure.
yeah.
They you mentioned the frequencies and stuff, and I was listening to some other guys. It just kind of goes along the Tesla stuff, the
Yeah.
how different frequencies control different things, right? Like our military has frequency beams, if you will, that can
Sound weapons.
sound
Yeah.
weapons, right?
Yeah.
that can put voices in your head. Can
Mhm.
there's everybody's heard the talk about the brown note, or whatever,
Yeah, the
and
shit note.
right, and
Yeah.
maybe it's possible to go back to your question on why are people listening to one person, is maybe there is a frequency of which that people talk, right?
Mhm.
And that frequency resonates with you, and you're just drawn into it, whether you believe the stuff or not. You're like forced to just listen to it because it's with muscle DNA memory, if you will. Like that's just that it's like when I whistle for my dog, he knows that my whistle means come here.
Mhm.
If my kid whistles the same whistle, he doesn't listen because my dog is trained to hear my whistle and that my exact, that range. So he'll come. And so I'm wondering, it's interesting to think that, is it possible that there is a frequency that people are attuned to listen to and hear, that make them follow whatever is being
Yeah.
said? I mean, and I'm sure the military already has it.
Oh, 100%, right? If they know about this stuff that we don't, they're certainly, you know, have their hands in that, and have you been watching much Cosmic Disclosure lately on Gaia?
I've been, since you've turned me on to Gaia, I have been jumping around so much. Like I find, like looking, trying to stay in the same area. I got stuck on Eric von Daniken for a long time, and then I
Yeah.
found this guy. I can't remember his name. He's an Israeli guy that was like part of the CIA because he could remote view really
Mhm.
well, and so I got really intrigued with the whole remote viewing thing.
Mhm.
Is it cosmic? Is it alien? Is it just an ability? Like some, because the government had that whole, I forget which project it was,
Oh,
where
the Monroe Institute. You can do
where
that.
they tried to do the remote viewing. So
Dude,
I
they have an app on iPhone on how to do that. The actual Monroe Institute.
really
Yeah, they're like, I tried using the, actually, don't do this, this is illegal. 10 years ago, I
education
downloaded,
purposes.
yeah, educational purposes only. I downloaded the whole gateway experience from the Monroe Institute, like using like LimeWire or something, right? And the first time I used it, I threw up. It was so intense. You can probably,
Really?
you can torrent it, yeah. But you go through this it's like a 6 CD series, and you listen to each audio for an hour a day, right? And you put on your headphones and you just kind of relax. And the gateway, it's for astral projection, having out of body experiences. And man, it's an intense thing. I remember I tried to get my one of my roommates onto it, and I don't think he ever moved forward with it. But it had such a weird physical effect on me that it's like, okay, it must be real. And then I stopped doing it. I don't know why. I think I
Would you
got
ever go
basically
back and revisit it to see if it was true? Because I mean,
100%. I would love to do remote viewing.
that'd be crazy to,
Yeah.
because my the whole thought of remote viewing kind of is interesting to me. The first time I even saw it, right, isn't that kind of Ghostbusters 1 with Bill Murray, and he's standing there with the card and he's
Mhm.
holding it, and he has the two people, and what do you see?
Yeah.
And and
Yeah.
it's interesting to me, because I was mediums, remote viewers, all that stuff. It's one of those things that I believe it's possible, maybe, but I've never experienced it firsthand. Or maybe the closest to anything is deja vu. Like, I find that very interesting. That's a whole thing that
Yeah.
we probably go off on a whole nother show, but deja vu,
Yeah.
like having dreams and seeing that actually happen before it happens, and it happens the exact same way, to me is very, very weird. Like,
Yeah. It's strange. I definitely believe in stuff like that, and I know this for a fact. I have a Manx girlfriend. Love you, baby, if you're listening.
you
She
say a
when
minx?
Manx, she's from the Isle of Man.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
I've
Manx.
never.
Yeah, like a Manx
I'm
cat,
un,
you know?
I'm
Yeah.
uncultured. Okay, go.
Yeah. Anyway, so she is special. And that whenever I have a really intense like emotional day or like something bad happens in my life, she knows. She'll text me and saying what's wrong. Like what's the matter? I know something's wrong. And that's happened 2 or 3 times in the last 6 months, I want to say, where I'll have there's like a big fight going on, or like just last month I was not feeling good at Walmart, right? And I almost passed out. I got to the car and there was a message from her, saying what's no, I sense something is wrong. I'm like, wow, how is that possible that all the way out in the small little island in the Isle of Man, she knows that I'm going through something in acute in that moment that makes me that's I'm perceiving as negative. And yeah, there's something to that, whether it's a form of remote viewing or we're truly connected in that way, like across quantum entanglement. It's just after
It's
that,
kind of
and I
like
get the same.
twins, right?
Yeah.
Like how twins feel like when
Hmm.
something happens to a twin, that
Yeah.
because they were split of that same embryo, so they share, they're connected somehow
Yeah.
wirelessly, so to speak,
Yeah.
no matter where they are. But obviously not a twin of yours, but there's obviously a connection somewhere that she's able to tap into you and know that this is happening. Do
Yeah.
you ever feel it the other way around? Like, is it like a two-way road, do you think?
No, I guess I'm not. I wish I did,
Or
and
maybe not in
I
tune to it, I guess.
yeah, I guess I'm not. When I was younger, I was way more in tune to whatchamacallit. I don't know. I just felt things, and I was more in tune to like a more spiritual realm. And then I guess the internet happened, and my focus is just fragmented, right? I can't really, I'm not in tune to that as much anymore. Like I'm still very sensitive to energy. Like, I'm a huge empath. Whether I like it or not, it's just, I can feel the energy of a room really, really, really hard. But from what I understand, meditation, even, Greer was saying that, meditation is what gets us in tune to this field, this kind of like life force field that even was brought up by what was it? Was it the I think it was the big meeting at a Congress the other day or the other week. But anyway, yeah, he says that there's like this field that we can tap into, that the grays, as we call them, they're supposed to be like actual like robots or androids or whatever, the culture that makes them, that there's like this field that they're tapped into, and that humans are starting to get tapped into, that connects everyone as kind of like all living things. And I think in my gut that that's what she's tapped into naturally, right? She's very psychic. So I'd like to get to that point where, I'm also, even if I just scratch the surface of it, and if it's meditation, then, that's what I'm doing. So
Yeah, it's I've never really done meditation, right? I've never sat there like I used
yeah.
to work for a company, and they paid for the app. What is it, Mindful or something like that? And
Yeah.
it's all this free meditation stuff, and it's just so hard for me to sit there and get into it, right? Like,
It's
because
difficult.
you
It's
need it to
hard.
be quiet. You need to be able to get into your zone, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I just found it really difficult with the distractions of kids. They may
It's
not
hard.
even be in the same room. Just the side noise, right? The side external sounds. And so I don't something I probably should look into, probably help lower the blood pressure and whatnot. But
It's the draconians, man. They're making it all, giving us
they're
all
making
ADHD.
they're difficult.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Speaking of our reptilian friends, is there people that you've seen in society or feel in society that really fit the mold of could possibly be reptilians?
Yes, Kenneth Copeland, that pastor, that evangelical guy that has like the creepiest look on his face, and he, for some reason, whether he's not a reptile,
Oh
that
yeah,
dude,
this guy.
he's just like, in my mind, I look at him and he just gives me the heebie-jeebies, right? If I'm not sure if he's a reptile, but he's definitely something else. He's not human.
It's something that's not cool.
Yeah, and the way he talks to people, he doesn't blink. He's a sociopath, right? And he's got like this weird stare, and yeah, that he comes to mind for sure.
It's crazy because I've always based it off of looks, right? I forgot about Kenneth Copeland because I have seen him before, and he just, I mean, his facial features definitely
Ugh.
could be one of them, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny because I always used to look at what was her name? I think it's Newt Gingrich's wife. Is it Callista Gingrich or what is it? But she always had like this lizardy type look to her. Yeah, Callista Gingrich. And
Looking at it
I just
now.
felt she looked reptilian. You know, if I had to guess what a reptilian person looked like, this would be the top notch of right up there. Kind of had that face like
Oh yeah.
like Kenneth, you know.
Oh yeah.
But then you know you get into it, you start looking on the internet, and what do the people of the world, the internet, say? Because that's where all our truth lies, right? It's the internet. So who do you think that the internet, everybody else believes is definitely without a doubt a reptilian? So at this point in the show, Mateo and I run into some audio difficulties. I can no longer hear him, and he is unaware of it. I do tell him that I can't hear him, and he starts to mess with his mic, but to no avail. No audio comes back from him. Stay tuned to the end of the show to find out what happened.
I think our vice president is.
I think your sound went out, bud.
Oh,
And no, the reptilians,
hello.
you were getting too deep into this now. Now they're affecting with
fucking with us.
technological warfare going on,
Does it work now?
attacking Mateo at his house as we speak, hitting
Is it-
frequencies of his mic. You know,
Is
when you
it-
start touching on certain points that get real sensitive, the government can just come in and shut it down. They'll straight take it away and end it for everybody. When you start touching on nerves and stuff,
No.
I don't, I'm looking at everything to make sure that it's not on our side. I don't see any
Weird.
muting going on. It's just very, very interesting that it could go from I'm talking with somebody and then it just shuts off. You want to talk about conspiracy theory? This is really what it comes down to, right? This is how it rolls. You never know when something's going to happen like this.
How
But
about
I
now?
mean, it is technology, so
Does it work?
shit can happen.
Can you hear me?
But he's we're getting him back right now. I think he's just gonna shut it down and come back and see.
Can you hear me?
No, he's
What?
still blocked off. This is so odd. This is so very odd.
No.
Look, here's what we'll do is
No.
we'll go ahead and we'll round up the show right now because
What?
there's technical difficulties. We'll try to get it figured out. If we can come back, awesome. If not, hey, there's always next week, and we'll have a great show for you then too, as well. You know, there's so much other things, maybe we'll jump into who the grays really are, who the insectoids are. Are there do we have levitating powers in the military? Are the UFOs or the UAPs, as they say, what you see? Is that actually what it is, or is it military? It's so yeah, I mean, we'll find out what's going on. Remember, you can reach us at
Hello.
two dudes much aliens at gmail.com. You can also hit us up on our Facebook. Maybe someday down the line we'll set up a Discord server so we can live chat with you guys while we do this. I think that would be awesome, that you just jump in and get it going. And who knows, maybe we'll even do a live show one of these days. But right now we gotta check in with our government overlords and see what's going on, and see if we can't get Mateo back to
no
civilization.
bro.
All right, everybody, from the guys at Two Dudes Much Alien, on behalf of Mateo, I can see him in the video waving, crying. He is upset over this.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week. Remember, people, stay weird. We got Mateo back.
I'm back.
But it wasn't Mateo's fault.
No. I didn't do
Trip
anything.
on this. So you're going to hear, I believe, I haven't gone back and done the editing yet, but I have a good feeling that you are going to hear me talking and Matt talking, but I'm going to lose his audio. Now, the strange thing about this is, as we started getting into this talking of, hitting on, you're talking about reptilians, celebrity reptilians and whatnot, my laptop, which is in sleep mode out in the living room, my MacBook, sleep mode out in the living room, comes on, Bluetooth kicks on, and then takes the audio from my headset, because I'm using Bluetooth headset, maybe shame on me, but Bluetooth headset. And so my audio is being, the hearing part of it is being taken over by my MacBook, but yet my mic side of it is still going on the show. So I have no explanation for that.
That is weird. If the computer's asleep, the computer's asleep. Doesn't do that.
It is very odd. That computer is sitting out in the living room with my wife. Initially I checked my phone and my phone's Bluetooth was off. And I'm like, the only other computer I have is my MacBook. So I go out there, I grab it, I open it up, and my Bluetooth's on. I check to see what the connections are, and it's got my Sony MX5s on there. So I shut it off, and I hear, it does the little doo-doo-doo in the headset. And I'm all of a sudden, Mateo, you there?
Oh yeah.
Boom, Mateo's there.
That's so weird. We're being censored already, Nick. This is Draco's.
2 shows in and weird shit's happening
Already.
Well, so yeah, when the show gets weird towards the end, this is why. So
it's probably going to happen again. Watch. Censoring.
It's probably going to happen again as we get deeper and deeper into this.
Expose so much shit.
Yeah, no, we're lifting up the skirt on a lot of stuff. You're gonna you're gonna see some things. So yeah, I mean, we can touch back with this. We'll come back and hit the reptilians again when we start digging up more information once they re-release it. But for now, we'll come back to you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yep. Sounds good.
I'll just shut the computer off this time. And if it turns back on, then I have no control.
That is weird. That would be weird.
It'll be scary. I'm gonna start doing a show with a tinfoil around everything to make sure it can't be touched.
Yeah.
So as mentioned before, hit us up, twodudesmuchaliens@gmail.com. Stop over to our Facebook page, post your evidence, your shit you want us to talk about, things. If you want to yell at us because we messed something up, maybe you don't believe what we're saying, do it there. We welcome all, positive and negative. So again, stay weird. We love you. We'll see you next time.
Love you all. Later, guys.